All right, ready to dive deep. Today, we're exploring the ideas of Neville Goddard, a mid-20th century spiritual teacher with some, well, pretty unique ideas about imagination and action and the power we all have inside us.
We're going to be using his lecture, Life is for Acting, along with excerpts from a website that features his work to try to uncover how Goddard believed we could shape our own reality.
Yeah, and it's not just like wishing for things and they'll magically appear. It's much deeper than like all those law of attraction things you hear all the time. This is more about taking uh, a really deliberate, active role in creating the life you want.
One of his most, well, mind-bending ideas is that God isn't just watching everything happen from afar. God is actually the ultimate actor, playing every single role in the universe.
Wait, so God's not just watching the play, but God is the play.
Exactly. Goddard believed that God isn't separate from us, but actually becomes each of us, experiencing life through each of our perspectives.
So then, if God is basically living life through us, does that mean like that every choice we make has a much bigger impact than we think? Are we like co-creating reality with God or?
That's a powerful question, and it goes right to the heart of the Guard's teachings. He believed that we're not just watching everything happen, but that we're active participants in the unfolding drama of life.
That's both really cool, but also kind of scary, you know? Like it makes you feel a lot of responsibility.
For sure, but that responsibility also comes with incredible potential, and this is where Goddard's ideas about imagination become super important.
Okay, so then it's not enough to just sit back and watch everything happen. We have to actively use our imagination to kind of shape things.
Exactly. Goddard believed that we have the power to transform ourselves and our reality by using our imagination as a tool.
So it's not just daydreaming. It's about being really deliberate and intentional with our thoughts, right?
Yeah. He called this making conscious what he called assumptions about who we want to be and what we want to experience. It's like saying, this is true, even if I don't see any proof of it yet.
That takes a lot of faith.
It really does. And Goddard saw that act of assumption as a powerful expression of faith, like a declaration that you trust in the unseen potential of your life.
Wow. That's really making me think about how I might be holding myself back without even realizing it. What assumptions am I holding on to that might be like keeping me from what I really want?
It's a great question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
And to get even deeper into that, we have to explore the importance Goddard placed on dreams.
Okay, now we're getting to the really interesting stuff. I know Goddard thought dreams were like messages from God, but what did he actually mean by that?
He believed that dreams, that they reveal our true selves and our deepest desires. They often show us like a glimpse of the potential that we all have inside us, but we might not be using. In his lecture, he tells this amazing story about a man who dreamt of transforming from a pretty plain, unremarkable person into like a being of incredible beauty.
Oh, wow. So the change actually started within him, in his dreams, before it happened in his real life.
Exactly. It shows how much Goddard believed in the potential we all have inside us. And a lot of times that potential shows itself in our dreams.
This reminds me of another dream he talked about in that lecture, the one where the guy was driving backwards. What was that about?
It's a really good metaphor for how we get stuck in the past. The man's driving down the street, but he's only looking backwards, while a police officer representing the law of life is trying to warn him to look where you're going.
Chills. That's such a clear message about how holding on to the past can stop us from moving forward. No wonder I feel stuck sometimes.
That's why Goddard's dream interpretations are so cool. They give us real insights into our subconscious patterns and beliefs, helping us see what might be holding us back.
Makes you wonder if we're all kind of driving backwards sometimes without realizing it. So how do we shift gears and start looking where we're going?
That's where the symbolism of the silver serpent comes in. That image shows up in some of the excerpts we have of Goddard's work.
That one was kind of hard to understand. I remember it said it was like the most powerful of serpents, and that it represented Christ awakened within.
Yeah, and it draws on that, the symbolism of the serpent, which has had both positive and negative meanings throughout history, especially in the Bible.
For me, the serpent always makes me think of transformation, like shedding old skins and moving to a higher level of awareness.
Yeah.
But I'm still not sure what Goddard was trying to say. Help me understand.
Okay, well, if we think of the serpent as a symbol of huge transformation, then the silver serpent, the strongest one, could represent a higher level of awareness. It's like a spiritual awakening where we finally see our true nature and our power.
So it's not about a real serpent, but like an awakening inside, a shifting
Yeah.
consciousness that helps us unlock our creative potential.
Yeah, exactly. It's about letting go of the limitations of our old selves and becoming a more powerful, awakened version of who we really are.
Okay, I think I get it. It's like we're activating that dormant power inside, the silver serpent energy that lets us become conscious creators of our reality. But how do we actually do that? How do we awaken that inner power?
Goddard suggested a really simple but really powerful practice: talking to yourself before sleep, specifically whispering the name of someone you love as a kind of prayer.
I remember reading that in the excerpts. There was that beautiful quote. His name upon our lips was like a prayer breathed by some holy nun at Vesper hour.
Wow, it just gives you this feeling of reverence and focused intention. It's a beautiful image, isn't it? And it shows how much feeling and attention Goddard believed was needed to make real change.
So it's not just repeating the name without thinking about it, but saying it with all the love and longing and intention we have.
Exactly. Remember, for Goddard, God isn't somewhere else, God is within us. When we say a name with that kind of focused love and attention, it's like we're tapping into the divine creative power inside us.
We become like a channel for that creative energy, using our focused imagination and heartfelt desire to direct it. This is incredible. But does it have to be a romantic love? Could it be the name of a child or a friend or even a mentor you really look up to?
That's a great question. And I think Goddard would say that it's the feeling behind the name that's most important: the depth of love, the longing, the desire to connect with that essence.
So it's about choosing a name that brings up the feelings we want in our lives,
Mm.
like the joy of connection, the strength to bounce back, or the unwavering faith in our dreams.
Exactly. It's about aligning ourselves with those qualities, both within us and in our relationships.
I love all this. But there's a part of me that still has trouble with the idea that we can shape reality just using our imagination. Do we need to balance this inner work with taking action in the real world?
That's a question a lot of people ask, and it's important to remember that Goddard wasn't saying we should just sit around and wish for things. He believed that taking action was really important, but that action should come from a place of inner alignment and clarity.
So it's not about just waiting for things to magically happen, but taking action that's in line with our deepest desires and intentions.
Exactly. It's about understanding that our inner world shapes our outer world. When we change our beliefs, our assumptions, our how we feel, the world around us starts to reflect that change.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm.
But it's still kind of abstract. Do you have any examples of how this might actually work in someone's life?
Sure. Think about someone stuck in a job they hate. They feel unfulfilled and they want a career that's more creative and meaningful.
I think we've all felt stuck like that.
Okay, so from Gennard's perspective, the first step wouldn't be to, like, send out resumes everywhere or network like crazy. It would be to go inward and start to imagine themselves already living that dream.
So feeling the joy of doing work they love, visualizing themselves, using their talents, and feeling the confidence that comes with going after their passion.
Yes. They might imagine themselves doing great in that new career, feeling the emotions as if it was already happening. They might write down affirmations that reflect their desired state, or even make a vision board with pictures that capture the feeling of their dream.
It's about making that change inside first, getting their beliefs and emotions in line with what they want.
Exactly. And as they do that inner work, they might start to see new opportunities pop up. Maybe they'll feel inspired to take a class or meet someone in their field, or even stumble upon a job posting that's exactly what they were picturing.
So the action they take on the outside becomes a natural result of the transformation on the inside.
Exactly. And it's not about forcing things to happen, but about becoming a vibrational match for the reality you want to create.
That's so important. It's not about trying to manipulate the universe,
Right.
but about aligning ourselves with the creative flow.
Right. And this brings us to another point Goddard talked about a lot: the importance of letting go of the outcome.
Wait, that seems counterintuitive.
Hmm.
If we're working so hard to create our reality, why would we want to detach from the results?
Because when we hold on too tightly to a specific outcome, we can actually block it from happening.
Kind of like a watched pot never boils. The more we obsess over something, the longer it takes.
Exactly. Goddard believed that true faith is about giving our desires to the divine, trusting that the universe knows how to bring about the perfect outcome.
So it's about seeing the vision clearly in our minds, taking inspired action, and then letting go of the need to control every little thing.
Yeah, it's about trusting in the wisdom of the universe and letting the magic of creation happen in its own way in its own time.
It sounds like walking a tightrope, holding the vision with clarity, but also letting go of the need to control how it all happens.
It is a delicate balance, but it gets easier with practice. The more we trust those unseen forces that are always at work, the easier it all becomes.
It makes me think about all the times I've tried so hard to force things to happen, only to end up feeling frustrated and burnt out. What if I'd handled those situations with more trust and surrender?
That's a really good question to think about, and it highlights how powerful Goddard's teaching can be. They encourage us to stop being the frantic person trying to control everything and become more like the conscious creator, trusting in the divine intelligence that's always working behind the scenes.
This has been so eye-opening. We've covered a lot already, and I think we need to pause here for now and let all these ideas sink in.
It's like we all have these paintbrushes, and with every thought, every belief, every time we use our imagination, we're adding to the picture of our lives.
That's such a great way to put it. And it makes me think, what am I painting right now? Is it a masterpiece or do I need to change some things?
That's a question you have to answer yourself. But Goddard's work gives us the awareness and tools to step back from the painting and decide what we want to create.
It comes back to that idea of choosing the role we want to play.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of just reacting to life, we can choose who we want to be and what we want to experience.
Yeah, and it's not about pretending our current circumstances aren't real, but about choosing to focus our energy on the reality we want to create.
So not ignoring challenges, but approaching them with a sense of power, trusting that we can shape our experience even when things are tough.
Exactly. And that takes us back to that powerful practice Goddard talked about, whispering a loved one's name before we go to sleep. It's so simple, but it has so much meaning.
It's stayed with me ever since we read those excerpts. There's something so personal and almost sacred about it, like a direct connection to creation itself.
Yeah, it's about connecting with that deep well of love and longing inside us and using that as a catalyst for transformation.
And it links back to the idea of God being within us, right? We're not sending our prayers out to some distant God, but activating that creative power that's already in our hearts.
Right. And when we say that name with such focus and devotion, it's like planting a seed in our subconscious mind.
A seed that can grow into the reality we want. But does it have to be a romantic love? Or could it be the name of a kid, a friend, even a mentor you really admire?
That's a really interesting question. I think Goddard would say that it's the feeling behind the name that matters most, the depth of love, the longing, the wanting to connect with that essence.
So it's about picking a name that makes us feel the things we want to feel in our lives, like the joy of connection, the strength to overcome challenges, or that unshakable belief in our dreams.
Exactly. It's about aligning ourselves with those qualities, both inside us and in our relationships.
This is all amazing, but honestly, there's a part of me that still struggles with the idea of shaping reality just by using our imagination. Is there a balance between doing this inner work and actually taking action in the real world?
Well, a lot of people wonder that. And it's really important to remember that Goddard wasn't saying we should just sit around and wish for things. He thought action was crucial, but that it should come from a place of inner alignment.
So it's not about just waiting for things to magically appear, but about taking action that feels right, that lines up with our deepest desires and intentions.
Yes. It's about understanding that how we feel inside shapes what happens outside. When we change our beliefs, our assumptions, our emotions, the world around us starts to reflect those changes.
Okay, I get it. But it still feels a bit abstract. Can you give an example of how this might actually work in someone's life?
Okay, imagine someone who's been stuck in a job they hate for years. They're not happy, and they want a job that's more creative and meaningful.
Yeah, I think we've all felt stuck like that at some point.
So for Goddard, the first step wouldn't be to start sending out resumes or networking like crazy. It would be to go inward and start imagining themselves already living that dream job.
So like feeling the joy of doing work they love, picturing themselves using their talents, and feeling that confidence that comes with following their passion.
Yes. They might spend time every day imagining themselves in that new career, feeling the emotions as if it was already real. They could write down affirmations that reflect their ideal situation or even create a vision board with pictures that capture the feeling of their dream.
It's about making that internal shift first, aligning their beliefs and emotions with the outcome they want.
Exactly. And as they do that inner work, they might find that opportunities just start showing up. They might feel inspired to take a class or meet someone in their field, or maybe they even see a job posting that's exactly what they've been visualizing.
So the actions they take in the real world are a result of the inner changes they've made.
Exactly. It's not about forcing things to happen, but about becoming, about aligning your energy with the reality you want to create.
That's such a crucial difference. It's not about manipulating the universe, but about aligning ourselves with the natural flow of creation.
Right. And this brings us to another really important idea from Goddard: letting go of the outcome.
Wait, that seems kind of backwards. If we're putting all this energy into creating our reality, why would we want to detach from the results?
Well, because when we get too attached to a specific outcome, we can actually stop it from happening.
It's like that saying, a watched pot never boils. The more we obsess over something, the longer it takes.
Exactly. Goddard believed that real faith is about surrendering our desires to something bigger than ourselves, trusting that the universe knows how to bring about the best possible outcome.
So it's about having a clear vision, taking inspired action, and then letting go of the need to control every little detail.
Yeah. It's about trusting in the wisdom of the universe and letting the magic of creation happen in its own time and in its own way.
That sounds hard, like trying to balance on a tightrope. Holding the vision clearly, but also letting go of the need to control how it all happens.
It is a delicate balance, but it gets easier the more you do it. The more we learn to trust those unseen forces, the easier it becomes.
This makes me think about all the times I've tried so hard to force things to happen, and I just ended up feeling frustrated and exhausted. What if I had approached those situations with more trust and surrender?
That's a powerful question to think about, and it shows us how transformative Goddard's ideas can be. They help us move from being that person who's constantly striving and trying to control everything to becoming the conscious creator, trusting in the intelligence that's always working behind the scenes.
This has been so insightful, but we've covered so much already. Let's pause here and let all these ideas really sink in before we wrap up our deep dive. It's like we've been on this amazing journey with Neville Goddard.
Yeah, his ideas are so deep and complex, aren't they? They really make you think about who you are, how you relate to the universe, and even what reality actually is.
Absolutely. It's like he's giving us this key to unlock a secret door inside us, a door that leads to a world of possibilities.
And what's so cool is that Goddard's teachings are both timeless and so relevant to the stuff we're all dealing with today.
Yeah, especially now when it feels like we're bombarded with so much information and pressure from the outside world. Goddard's focus on changing from within feels really, really grounding.
It reminds us that real change starts on the inside. When we become more aware, use our imagination, and align ourselves with our truth desires, we can actually start to create our own reality.
It's about taking back our power, right? Instead of feeling like we're just being tossed around by life, we can choose to be the creators, shaping our lives with intention and purpose.
Exactly. It's about realizing that we're not just helpless victims of whatever happens to us. We have the power to choose our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, and when we do that, we shape our whole experience.
So if we had to boil down Goddard's teachings to one main takeaway for our listeners, what would it be?
I think it would be this: you are not a puppet of fate. You are a powerful creator with the divine spark of imagination inside you.
Yeah. Embrace that power, cultivate it, nurture it, and use it to create a life that's worthy of your dreams.
Remember, the universe is working with you, not against you. Trust those unseen forces and let the magic of creation happen in its perfect timing.
This deep dive has been so mind-blowing. I hope our listeners are leaving feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to embrace all the potential they have inside them.
Like Neville Goddard said, life is for acting. So go out there and act on your dreams, shape your reality, and become the amazing person you were always meant to be.
Until next time, keep diving deep.